Kissing Booth is a new Netflix comedy film from director Vince Marcello, who previously directed a Nickelodeon film called Liar Liar Vampire. Also, the screenplay is written by a 15-year-old apparently. This movie is about Joey King and Joel Courtney. They're best friends. They've been best friends since birth because their mums were best friends. So, of course, the best friend lineage carries on forever. They do everything together almost. They come up with this kissing booth idea, I think for a fundraiser or something. I don't really remember. But at the kissing booth, Joel Courtney's brother in the movie Noah, played by Jacob Elordi, makes out with Elle, and they're like, oh my gosh, we're in love, but drama then ensues. I didn't know anything about this movie, like, at all. I didn't know it existed. I only know about it because a couple friends of mine were saying, oh my god, it's so awful, we gotta watch this, it's so freaking terrible. So I was like, alright, let me look it up real quick. I didn't watch any trailers or anything, but I found out that it's based off a book written by a 15-year-old, and originally it was just a fan fiction on Wattpad, or something like that. How Netflix thought this would be a good idea to make into a movie, I don't know. This is my least favorite film of the entire year so far, though. Jesus Christ, game over, man. You've been topped, baby! As much as I want to praise Joey King for her comedic work in Wish Upon, which is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, she really sucked here. She really wasn't that funny to me, and then when the drama starts to kick in later, she really didn't really sell me on that. I just thought she was really bad overall. This is definitely one of her worst performances, and she's an actress who I think has been doing considerably very well for herself, like first starting off with Ramona and Beezus, and then The Conjuring, Oz the Great and Powerful, she had a good role, and even Wish Upon, even though that's hot garbage, technically, I enjoy that movie a lot on a guilty pleasure level. This is not doing her any favors, though. Especially because her character makes a lot of dummy decisions throughout the entire film. Like, at one point, she rips her school uniform jeans, and she's like, oh no, I gotta wear this skirt of mine when I was a freshman, but that was 2 years ago, so it doesn't fit anymore, and she is completely oblivious to the fact that parts of her bum are sticking out. Like, she doesn't even notice it until she gets out of the car at school, like, oh, now I can notice it. I've been wearing it for, like, the past 30 minutes, but now I kind of notice that this is too small for me. And it's even proven that it's an even worse decision when one of the guys there goes up and touches her bum at, like, in the schoolyard. Like, yeah, like, we could have seen this coming a mile away. A guy will do this, especially a really big jerk of a guy. He will do this. And you'd think that guy that touched her bum she'd probably ignore forever, like, alright, get out of my life. But then later they're, like, in detention, and he passes a note, and it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, what can I do to earn your forgiveness? And she basically goes along the lines of, yeah, put on one of those mini skirts and walk back into class. Like a big joke, and then he does, and it's like a big funny moment, clap everyone, it's really funny. But why? He sexually assaulted you by touching your bum. Like, it's not even like it's not even like a minor, like, touch, like a touch of the shoulder or anything like that. It's like literally intentionally going up and seeing that she's wearing a skirt really small for her and touching the ass that's there. That's not something you should probably forgive. That's a really creepy thing to do. But she forgives him because she's a really dumb character. And then later, there's this huge party that she's at, and she starts to get really drunk and really wasted, and she starts to, like, strip in front of people, suggesting skinny dipping in the pool, and everyone's just oogling at her, but she doesn't notice because she's really drunk. It's so weird how sexualized Joey King is in this movie. And at one point she's covered in paint and she goes into the bathroom and we find out, uh-oh, it's the male's bathroom. She somehow walked into the men's bathroom. I guess she got confused or something like that. And then suddenly Noah, the brother of Joe Courtney, walks up like, hey, you're like in the bathroom connected to the locker room. Like, this is really awful. You gotta get out of here. They're gonna overly sexualize you. And she's like, whoa. You got a problem with them staring at me now? Noah, I can do whatever I want. I'm a grown woman. So she starts walking around and parading around and basically letting them overly sexualize her, going like, oh yeah, you're so hot. And she's just smiling and like winking at basically everyone like, come on. Like, they tried to have this moment of like, don't let this man tell you what to do. But it was like, it was all in his best interest of, I don't want these men staring at you funny because it's really creepy. It's just a really weird placement for that. And it was only there to have this weird moment in their relationship for no reason. As bad as Joey King is in this movie, I really gotta talk about Joel Courtney in this, because his character of Lee annoyed the crap out of me for the first half of the film. He's the cringiest man. Like, almost every scene he's making like a almost every scene he has a cringe face on. He's doing something really weird with his smiles and mouth and his voice, and it's like, God, dude, you gotta stop acting like this. It's bad enough knowing that his last film was the Fine Brothers movie, F the Prom, and then you see him in this and he's just completely committed to doing cringe roles now. Thanks a lot, kid from Super 8. You're really doing great with your career. But it gets even worse in that second half, because basically, with the kissing booth, I don't care if it's a spoiler, frick you. Noah and Elle, they fall in love with the kissing booth, but oh no, Lee is Noah's brother, and that's like gonna mess up their friendship because they created these rules saying you can't grind up coochies with your sibling, which is a line of dialogue in the movie, which is amazing. But when they eventually find out, first of all, Elle like scrapes her knee or her arm or whatever. She does something in the garage, and Noah's like, here, I'll help you out. And because he's helping her out, Lee automatically assumes like, are you guys in a relationship? I'm gonna storm out of this room. I'm really upset now. But Elle has to chase him down and go like, yeah, nothing happened. He was just helping me out. We are not in a relationship, right? And they're like, all right, we're good. You want to head out of this place? She's like, all right, I just need to grab something from your brother's room. She goes back in, and she and Noah make out. Lee walks back in, and it's basically a rinse, wash, repeat of the same exact scene of when he first walked in, except this time he's seeing them kiss. It's like, why couldn't you just have them kiss and he walks in? It would shorten the film, and you don't need to film so much more. But he finds out and he starts to freak out. He starts to try to beat up his brother, but his brother easily pins him because he's much older and much bigger. We eventually find out that Lee is so upset, so melodramatic, because my brother is the superstar and he always taking stuff from me, and I thought, since you're my BFF, this is the one thing he wouldn't take away from me, but he did. And that's supposed to gain sympathy from the audience, and I was just thinking, you got a girlfriend recently, dude. Like, not only do Elle and Noah start to hook up because of the kissing booth, but Lee also starts to hook up with someone because of the kissing booth. And that's one thing that your brother can't take away from you, dude. Like, I get it, like, it's your, like, Joey King is your BFF, and all of a sudden she's dating your bigger brother. It's like, oh, that's a little weird, that's a little awkward, but that's not something you need to freak out about. You literally have been hanging out more with your girlfriend than Joey King for the longest time because of that kissing booth. So why do you care so much? Like, clearly your brother can't take away this girl from you. Clearly you have a connection. So why do you all of a sudden care about your BFF who you're completely platonic about? It doesn't make any sense for a character. If this guy was actually in love with Joey King and they made that evident, then it would have made sense. Like, okay, I can gain some sympathy here because you're in love with Joey King. But that's not the case. As it turns out, it's just explained that you're just my BFF, but he's stealing it from me, and he's the one thing I thought he couldn't steal from me. But I'm still in love with my girlfriend, though. I don't like you in a romantic way, Joey King. Just BFFs, totally platonic. But I'm still gonna care a lot about who you date, especially if it's my bigger brother. And it's like, oh my god, you're freaking out so much for nothing. You're freaking out so much because of nothing. So it's bad enough that he's a complete cringelord for the first half, and he's acting straight out of a Disney Channel movie or a Nickelodeon movie, but it's even worse when he becomes so melodramatic and nonsensical in the second half of this thing. And it's like, I can't follow you as a character anymore. You make no sense. And I wish I could support Noah in this film, since his brother's the one acting totally irrational, but I can't. One main reason is the actor. Sorry. I'm sorry. It felt like Netflix hired him from the mailroom. They just needed a hot guy and they needed it super cheap, and they're like, hey, we got a guy in the mailroom who seemed really interested in the script when we brought it up to him. So they brought him in and was like, alright, that's good enough. You're hot. We don't care how robotic your dialogue sounds. It's fine. It's fine. Put him in the movie. There's like no chemistry between him and Joey King at all, and I couldn't buy into their romance at all. He's just so robotic. He's so wooden. Like, he's more wooden than actual wood. And the worst part is, this character, he's seen as like the bad boy at school. He's defending Joey King from bullies and junk, but he's also gonna get into fights with other people. And then you find out, this man's going to Harvard? This man, apparently he's smart enough to get into Harvard, but also they're gonna overlook all the bad stuff he does. Like, I don't know much about Harvard. I'm clearly not the smartest man in the world, but I'm pretty sure Harvard has standards of you probably shouldn't have anything bad on your record, like, at all, to get here. You need to be a squeaky clean, straight A student to get to Harvard. But this guy, who doesn't look like he'd get straight A's and looks like his record is, like, trash, apparently he's going to Harvard. And they never bother to explain it. They never make a joke of like, wait, you're going to Harvard? How is that possible? Like, no, it's just a thing that's accepted. Like, I'm going to Harvard. Like, oh my God, that's great. It's like, oh my God, just try to explain something in a way that makes sense, 15-year-old girl who wrote the book. Honestly, watching this movie, it didn't surprise me that a 15-year-old wrote this. Number one, the whole entire feel is basically just a more raunchy version of a Disney Channel movie. Like, the opening of this film, the way you see the credits, like, appear on, like, a building at some point, like, all pop out, it's like, that looks straight out of a Disney Channel movie. But the jokes are even raunchier, but the acting is about the same as a Disney Channel movie, so it's basically a Disney Channel movie, just more raunchy. Also, the lines of dialogue are complete trash. I already mentioned earlier the grinding coochies line that Joel Courtney says, but also there's these OMG girls. They're completely annoying. They're the popular girls who like to spread rumors about people and talk trash about them. And there's a line of dialogue told by one of them who's like, hey, Joey King, drink this liquid. It tastes like green. And it's like, wait, what? And Joey King doesn't even try to mention, like, green as in, like, what? Like, what? It's just like, oh, green, alright. It's like, can you at least try to make a joke out of the terrible lines of dialogue here? Can you at least try? Like, what kind of green are you talking about? And then another line is like, hey, try this one. It tastes like pink or some other color, but it's still, like, the same. Like, it tastes like a color. It's like, you can't be this stupid. Like, you can't be this stupid. Can you at least try to make a joke about how you're making terrible lines of dialogue? Could you just have someone point out how stupid all of this is? There's another line of dialogue where we find out that Noah is bullying other guys, like, don't mess with Joey King, she's probably gonna be mine at some point. And so one guy says to her, hey, your boobs ain't worth a broken nose. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I hated Game Over Man, and I think that's an awful comedy with a lot of cringe moments. The kissing booth had me cringing in the first minute. More so than Game Over Man ever did. And it only gets worse as you're watching this first half and it's filled to the top with cringe, but it only gets even worse when it transitions to this drama. Like, it thinks it's a smart John Hughes film. They even have Molly Ringwald as Joel Courtney's mom. And she's literally only there one scene and then for, like, serving no purpose, and then another scene so she can give Joey King an emotional speech. And that's it. That's like our only purpose. Why is Molly Ringwald in this movie? Why? Just don't. It's literally just trying to be a John Hughes film, except it's the worst non-John Hughes written film I've ever seen. I also love how inept the movie opens up, trying to balance the comedy and then drama, like in the opening, and it sucks so bad because they have the explanation of the friendship between Joey King and Joel Courtney, and they're like doing this dance montage as they're growing older on this dance machine. They love dancing. That's a huge point. Like, when they get into an argument, they get back together and become friends at the dance machine. So that's great. Dancing is a key plot point. But in the intro, as they're dancing and explaining their relationship, going over the highlights, the comedy moments in their relationship, so funny, all of a sudden Joey King just starts to say, seeing my mom for the last time in the hospital, finding out my mom was super sick. And it's like, whoa! Like, you're just completely shifting tones in the intro! Like, I'm not joking, it doesn't even try to build up to the drama part, it just shifts from funny then drama. Like, it literally goes from one point, Noah tried to beat up Joe Courtney because of something quirky, ain't that funny, my mom's severely ill in the hospital and she's gonna die soon. And I was just sitting there like, whoa! Like, what is this? Like, I'm all for drama in comedy films. You can make good dramedies, but holy crap! You gotta work up to it at least. You can't just shift from, we're really funny, mom's dead, deal with it. Like, that's terrible! That's a terrible balance of tone! I was cringing at the comedy, and then I cringed even more at the drama. I wasn't invested with any of these characters. I hated all of them. How this gained some sort of following, I hope it's just because of how awful it is and not because of it actually being a good movie, because it's not. This is the worst screenplay that I've heard in the entire year. It's the worst plot. It's the most nonsensical when it comes to character motivation. It's the most nonsensical when it comes to jokes. The jokes are even worse than the ones in fucking game over, man. Another Netflix comedy that's one of the worst of the year. It's filmed and edited like any generic DCOM movie on TV. Like, how this got a Netflix approval? Like, oh yeah, we're gonna take this 15-year-old's book, make it a movie. Like, screw it. How, Netflix? I thought you wanted to improve! Why are you doing this? Why are you actively trying to make the Disney streaming service seem like a great idea? Why are you I thought you wanted to compete, like actually make good content, but instead you're just going over for the quantity over the quality. Like, you have so much stuff coming out, but for the most part, it's all hot garbage or mediocre and boring and forgettable. I've seen so many other Netflix movies this year. Some of them I'll review, some of them I won't. But a lot of them I'm not even going to review because of how boring and mediocre they are, that I honestly forgot about them as soon as I watched it. Netflix! Disney is going to kick your butt. And in order to fix this, you have to focus on quality. You have to bring people in instead of driving them away with your garbage. I'm sorry for the Netflix rant all of a sudden, but it's true. The distributor is one of the worst things about this. The fact that they actually released this. If this was just some straight to DVD thing, I wouldn't have even bothered with it. Like, whatever. But this, it's the fact that they released it and they're trying to impress everyone. They're trying to compete with Amazon and Hulu and now Disney because they're gearing up to kick a lot of butt in streaming. And I want to root for Netflix. They're the underdogs of this. They really popularized streaming and they're doing a lot of good with TV, but then they do a lot of crap with their original movies. You want to broaden your stuff. You want to get more people in. Stop driving them away with your filth, your garbage, your trash. Quantity isn't important. Quality is. I'm going to give The Kissing Booth an F. It's my least favorite film of the entire year. It has some of the worst scenes and jokes I've seen all year, some of the worst characters that I'm forced to follow, but I don't want to, some horrible acting, some pretty bad direction too by Vince Marcello, but I guess I shouldn't have expected that much from the director of Liar Liar Vampire. It's just such an awful movie all around. And Netflix, I hope you're watching this. You won't, because I'm a small YouTuber with nothing to say that matters to you, I guess. But seriously, what I'm saying here is true. Quality is more important than quantity. No one just wants to see 800 Netflix movies coming to you. They just want to see some really good ones come. Because that's what's going to get people excited to see more. Is the good. Not, oh, they just released another film. No, they want to see good. They want to see quality stuff. You're not releasing quality stuff, hence, Disney's probably going to whoop your butt. Sorry to say, but the way you've handled yourself recently, it's gonna happen. But if you've seen The Kissing Booth, and if you did, I'm so sorry for you. Leave in the comments below what you thought of it. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.